This is a dog. Its name is Poor. The dog likes to eat cake. These are the dog's 5 friends. The dog's 5 friends also like to eat cake, but there is only one cake. That is called scarcity. 6 dogs want to buy cake. The market only sells one cake. That is the imbalance between supply and demand. This is the baking dog. Initially, the baking dog made and sold cakes for 5 bones apiece. But since every dog wanted to buy cakes, the baking dog raised the price to 20 bones each. That's what we call demand pull inflation. The dog uses flour, eggs, sugar, and milk to make cakes, including electricity, water, and the selling spot. It costs a total of 2 bones to make one cake. That is called cost. The dog sells cakes and earns 18 bones after selling them. That is called profit. At that time, in the forest, there was only one dog selling cakes. The other dogs had no choice, so no matter what price the cake-selling dog set, they had to buy. That is called monopoly. The other dogs saw that making cakes was highly profitable, so they also started making cakes. The original cake-making dog saw that the other dogs were stealing his rice bowl, so he formed a gang to threaten the other dogs, forcing them either not to make cakes at all, or if they did make cakes, they had to share the profits with him. That is called mafia. The president of the dog forest discovered this situation, so he sent people to arrest the mafia dog. The mafia dog gave fish to the president and said, "Don't arrest me. I'll give you a percentage of the cake sales." The president dog agreed. That is called corruption. The mafia dog made a lot of money from selling cakes. The tax agency came and demanded that the mafia dog pay taxes. If the mafia dog paid taxes, he would lose a lot of bones, so he set up a charity fund called the Charity Fund for Dogs in Difficult Circumstances. The mafia dog claimed that this fund helped poor dogs, but in reality, it helped himself. The mafia dog donated bones to his own fund to get big tax deductions, while everyone thought he was generous. The mafia dog's charity fund hired the mafia dog as its director, paid him a salary, bought him a big building for an office, and bought him fancy cars. So the mafia dog still got to spend his own money without going to prison. That is called legal tax evasion. The mafia dog had a lot of bones, but he wanted even more bones. He noticed that many dogs in the forest loved eating PD, but the PD in the forest was expensive, didn't taste good, and the seller was mean. So the mafia dog went to the neighboring forest to try their PT. The PD there was delicious and cheap, because the neighboring forest had better ingredients and a better recipe. The mafia dog bought PT from the neighboring forest and sold it in his own forest. That is called import. The dog government did not want PD from other forests to be sold too much in their own forest, because that would put the local dog PD makers at a disadvantage. So the dog government forced the mafia dog to pay bones in order to sell PD in their forest, in order to make the price of imported PD higher than that of local PD. That is called tariff. The mafia dog didn't want to pay the tariff, so instead of bringing PD in through the main gate of the market, he went through the back door. That is called smuggling. The mafia dog made a lot of fish from smuggling, but the problem was he couldn't spend that money because everyone would get suspicious. If the mafia dog told the truth, he would go to prison. So the mafia dog set up a shell company on paper. The company was real, but in reality, it was nothing. The mafia dog invested dirty bones into the shell company and then received clean bones back from the company in the form of profits. That is called money laundering. The mafia dog already had plenty of bones, but he wanted even more. So he brought his cakes over to the neighboring forest and sold them there. That's what we call export. The president of the dog forest next door said, "The law here does not allow selling cakes." The mafia dog brought bones to see the president and said, "Change the law and let me sell cakes." The president changed the law and let the mafia dog sell cakes. That is called lobbying or corruption. The mafia dog did that in many other forests and succeeded. As a result, the mafia dog made a huge amount of bones. The mafia dog became the dog that earned the most bones in his forest.